what really made the film for me is you have Dakota's client Sophie and that heartbreaking story.
Oh my gosh. Sophie, you want to know who my favorite actor in this movie was? Zoe Winters. Oh my goodness.
She's so good.
Every time she's on camera, I'm just like, dang, you are. I love Dakota Johnson, but you are running circles around her right now.
Yeah. That opening scene where she's like, I just want to find the love of my life. She's like, is that too hard? Like, just losing. You're like, oh my gosh, this woman's like a little unhinged, and I kind of love it.
You're listening to All My Friends Are Movie Fans. I am Thomas Stoneham Judge, here to host conversation about what's new and relevant in film with my friends who are movie fans. So, Celine Song's Materialists is now in theaters, and I've brought together Derrick Murray, Lyvie Scott, and Darren ZAKUS to talk about that, to rank our favorite romance films, and to ask the $200,000 question: how many inches would you break your leg to grow? Derrick, your answer?
This is genuinely why I love this show so much, because Thomas does this every single episode where he just keeps a little ace in his back pocket and then just bam, knocks his guests over. Oh my God.
It's also my favorite part too. So
right out the gate.
I want everyone to know. I want to be very clear. We do not know what he is going to say. So that reaction, that is live. I helped him make this show, and I still don't know.
He's like, here's the notes, except for this.
Let's see how much Derrick's gonna flip.
I know. I don't feel like I have short king energy, but I also don't have like tall guy privilege. So I'm in this like weird. I feel like I would be the one where like you would be like, oh, you said he was 6'2", he's actually 5'11". Like that's where I would fall in kind of that category. Yeah. So
how tall are you? I'm
like 5'11".
He's tall. Yeah. He doesn't need to be breaking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but if I wanted to be able to justifiably say over 6 feet, then I could maybe do like 3 inches.
Okay. All right. Good answer. Lyvie.
Oh, man. For everyone watching at home, I'm 5'2.5". I kind of like being short, though. I mean, it's different when you're a girl. So I don't think that I would. Also, like the idea of breaking your legs and like being out for God knows how long.
A little scary.
I gotta live my life. Yeah. And what if it goes wrong? Ugh, I can't. I couldn't.
That's fair. Darren.
Like, I have those same feelings as Lyvie, breaking my legs, not being able to move, all that. But also, I'm 5'7", so, like, I need a few more inches.
Yeah.
So, like, probably add on 3 to get me up to, like, 5'10", and it'll be a bit more acceptable at that point. Yeah.
Very modest. Darren went for, Derrick went for 6.
No, I said 3, but I think Darren he's got the Pedro Pascal vibe already at 5'7". So, he's got to go the full 6.
That sounds about right.
Am I that desperate though? No.
Right. That's the question. That is the question. My husband is 2 or 3 inches taller than me, so that's what I would do.
So you can be eye to eye.
Yeah, I've never really been self-conscious about it. But also, if given the opportunity, and if I was rich enough to throw away $200,000 and not worry about it, why not?
Right.
I guess it's an investment in our relationship.
That's what he said. That's what Pedro said. Also, by the way, trying to imagine him as 5'6", I'm like, you're fucking with me. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's not
can't happen.
I know we kind of already spoiled like a very pivotal reveal in this movie.
Yeah.
Right. When he crouches down,
gosh.
Honestly, that is probably my favorite scene with both of them in the entire film. Is that whole it's so good.
It is really good. And yeah, he crouched down and I'm just like, no way. I can't imagine it. That's not real. Yeah. That can't be.
It's real. The shoulders. It's his shoulders. They're too broad.
Yeah. Broad shoulders. That's true. All right, guys. Well, we're here to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that movie here in a minute, and we're also going to rank, because this is one of the most romantic films of the summer. We're going to rank our favorite romance movies of this century. But I think we need more context around our perspectives on romance film before we jump into that. So my question here is, what defines a good romance movie for you? Darren, let's start with you on that one.
Gosh, I need something that's going to evoke that hopeless romantic in me. You want to come out of a romance, whether it ends good for the couple or tragically, you want to believe in love. So you need that kind of spark to the story.
Yeah, good answer. Lyvie, what do you think?
Number one, chemistry. I need chemistry. I need to believe, if you're mushing faces, I need to believe that you want to mush faces and that you've been wanting this desperately for God knows how long. I need to feel yearning, etc. I think number two is the characters need to feel like people. That's really important to me. I know this is like a tropey genre, but I feel like the ones that take the extra time to kind of move beyond the tropes of the characters and make them feel real is crucial for me.
Yeah, good response. Derrick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would honestly just combine both of their answers. I know that's kind of cheating, but
he's like, I'm going last. So.
It's the benefit of the snake. But no, I agree. I think the feeling that I want to feel, I want to fall in love again, right? Like I have a very loving relationship. We've been together for 10, 11 years, but like there's something about a good romance that when you see it, it's literally like falling in love for the first time. Like that's the emotions that it gets out of you. But to Livie's point, that can only be done by watching characters that feel real and their chemistry feels organic instead of manufactured. And it's very telling when you get one where if they're not vibing, whatever emotion it's trying to get out of you honestly doesn't matter. Which, that's how you get something like Ghosted, where two of the most people in the world have zero chemistry whatsoever.
And we're going there.
Yep, that happened.
Let's share the wealth. Don't forget Dakota, Jamie, and 50 Shades.
Oh, right.
Was there even romance? They just hated each other.
Trying to think, has Pedro been in a bad romance movie? I'm trying to think.
He's been in bad movies.
He's been in bad movies.
That's definitely been in bad movies.
He's also played bad, like, because I think I was watching Materialists and thinking, man, he did do Gladiator, didn't he? That was he had other things on his mind during Gladiator too.
Yeah,
I need to speak with him actually. I need to sit him down and say, hi, what's the strategy?
Yeah, what's going on here?
What are the vibes? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Because it's not.
Yeah,
the strategy is to be everywhere.
And in everything.
In everything, including what, Apple commercials? Is that what he was in? Was that what that was?
Dude, his overexposure run this year alone is just absolutely insane. I cannot remember maybe this side of like Lin-Manuel Miranda of somebody who's been this overexposed. Like it is insane.
It's okay though, because there's an audience that's here for it. So, Pedro, keep doing your thing. Yeah. I'm going to echo everything you guys are saying about the romance films. So I'm echoing Derrick's echo. Echo. But the thing that I'm going to add to that part of the conversation is I'm not a writer, so I don't know exactly how to do this, but I need my characters to be imperfect in an authentic way. And I think that romance films, they can get so cheesy and so kitschy and just so formulaic that the imperfectness of the characters doesn't feel believable. And so I need that imperfectness to reflect the reality that I can understand, that I can relate with, in order for me to really buy into these being people that are, that are connecting and having this tussle in love or whatever. So that's what I would add. I mean, when it comes to movies in general, character development is a massive thing for me. You develop the characters right, you've won 80% of the battle for me in a movie. So So yeah, that's that. I think that's what I would add to that is authentic imperfection. So
Agreed.
yeah, and I absolutely felt like Materialists nailed that. So let's talk about Materialists. We're going to start with our ratings. I want to start with what you guys rated this movie, and then let's discuss. Okay, Lyvie, what was your rating for Materialists?
Well, it's so weird. I gave it a 4, but I just keep finding I'm like in between a 3.5 and a 4.
Okay.
I wish I could do 3.75.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are things that I loved, but then I don't know. There's something keeping me from getting swept away
Okay.
in the romance and the sweetness of this film, because it is a very sweet film, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Derrick, what was your rating?
This is why I am so glad I saw Libby's tweet and then reached out to her because, like, same girl, same. I rated it a 4. I'm gonna finish my piece today, and it will probably be a 4 in the end. But I really want like a 3.75, like that.
Mhm.
That I feel like is the perfect rating for this, where you can recognize all of the sweetness and all of the high highs, but it's a little messy. It's got a little bit of that studio Hollywoodization that kind of almost overshadows some of that intimacy that she gets from her characters. And I don't know that it all works together. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Darren, what was your rating?
So I guess we're divided on this podcast. Like what Thomas thinks of the movie. I'm definitely more in line with him. I'm at a 4.5. Close to a 5, but not quite there, just because it didn't quite hit everything I wanted from it, but it did more than I could have hoped for as a whole.
Yeah, good point. I also came out very high on this film, and I think that maybe I come out high on it because I revere Celine Song so much, and what she accomplishes in this kind of like, love triangles are not a new thing in romance storytelling, but I think she does it, like I'm saying, in that really authentic way, because this movie deals with, like, the Dakota Johnson's character, she's dating someone, but she also has this friend who's just been friend zoned, and like I think a lot of movies would have treated that a lot more awkwardly. Whereas I think that she did a really great job just like managing those relationships without needing to bring awkwardness into to drive the drama. So I came out very high on it, like a 4.5. I would be interested in how I feel about it after a second watch. Because I, kind of being swept away in the Celine Song storytelling and just like immersing myself in this world and in these stories was great the first time. I would like to think it would be just as great the second time, like in Past Lives, because I could watch Past Lives endlessly. That movie is so 5 stars for me. Every single time I watch it, it's fantastic. But yeah, I would be interested to see how I feel about it after a second watch. So at this point, it's a 4.5 for me. I think that one of the big things that people talk about with this movie is the cast. Obviously, this is a very A-list cast, and they're here to deliver this really kind of complex story. What are our thoughts on the cast? Derrick, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, so this is actually where I have a little bit of a struggle. So this is why it goes from the start of Past Lives at 5 and then kind of works its way down. So I actually feel like the cast is a gift and a curse. I think that you have some really great performers, and I think Celine Song writes characters that get some of the best performances out of those characters. But I also feel like that star-studded cast almost asks you to think that this film is something that it's not. And then watching those performers operate in these roles and operate in this language that Celine Song is clearly singular in, right? The way she writes people is so distinct and so just packed with intent that if you're not dialed into that cadence, it can be a little distracting. And as much as I enjoy all 3 of these people, I think Chris Evans probably comes out on top. I think he kind of understands the roles the best. And I'm not even a Dakota Johnson hater. Thomas knows that I will stand for Daddy-O all day long.
Yes.
But I actually don't think she's the best person for this role. I think that she's got a little bit of, and I know it's purposeful, but I don't think she's as dialed in to that distance that Celine Song is trying to write into this character. And while you would think that her deadpan kind of performance style would work really well with a almost dead inside woman helping other people get matched, there's just something off about it. And then even with Pedro Pascal, that superstardom, I think, kind of overshadows who Harry is supposed to be and how he's kind of subverting our expectations in certain ways of that character. And again, I don't want to compare to Past Lives too much, but one of the reasons Past Lives works so well is that most people outside of cinephiles don't really know who Greta Lee is. So she's this kind of new face that you get to see. We definitely don't know who, I'm forgetting his last name, but Tio Song, I think. Yeah, like we definitely don't know who that is, right? Like outside of like real critic circles, most people have never seen him before. And then even John Majaro is like, he's an indie, he's an indie god. We love him in the indie circles. But that trio, they're no longer distracted by familiarity. So then we just get to invest in the characters that Celine Song is actually creating. And I feel like Materialists maybe shifts a little too far to the opposite end, where those characters do. The characters are incredible, but the cast feels a little bit distracting.
Darren, what were your thoughts on the cast?
It's funny. I loved Chris Evans. I thought, perfect casting choice for that kind of down on his luck, but always down on his luck boy next door. Like you couldn't find someone who kind of captures that charm and that drive. I'm a big Dakota Johnson defender. I thought she was wonderful. I thought, her kind of bit more deadpan, detached performance worked well for the character, especially since there's so much internally happening within her character. What does she actually want? And what does love mean? Because that is the big question of the movie. And I do agree with the overshadowing when it comes to Pedro's character, that you've got the Pedro superstar overshadowing, but I thought that was actually a really good choice for the role, because the audience is going, look, it's Pedro Pascal. He's rich. He's all these things. Why wouldn't someone want to love him? So I thought it kind of worked well knowing where that arc goes, because the whole time I was watching him and Dakota, I was not feeling the chemistry, but it was intentional. So I wouldn't say it was a bad performance, but there was that intentional, there's something off about this. And I thought that overshadowing helped distract it from that. So it kind of hits the audience a little harder when it's revealed.
Yeah, good points. Lyvie, what were your thoughts on the cast?
I love what Darren just said about Pedro. I feel like I want to believe that Celine was making that intentional choice to kind of cast someone who's so huge, so that we're coming in with our preconceived notions. Because I've seen so many people, like when the trailer came out, like, if she doesn't choose Pedro, I'm killing myself.
Yeah.
Those are the stakes.
Yeah.
Those are the stakes coming into this for so many people.
Side note, which is wild because her other option is Chris Evans. Like, what are we doing?
I know.
know.
It's parallel.
I know, it's so crazy. Like, people are acting like Chris Evans is like the worst choice in the world, and I'm like, do you know what I would give? Actually, do you know what I'd give? Like, let's reorient our.
She
our
can't feel wrong here.
Right.
Yeah. But I also think that I don't know. I feel like he was miscast, Pedro. If only because I don't know. I feel like he doesn't get much to do. I feel like the film and his role is coasting on who he is in real life. And aside from like that monologue that he has at the very end when him and Lucy are breaking up, I feel like he doesn't get many chances to really dig into this character. And I think that's by design. That's just the script. Like he's supposed to be this like untouchable man. The chemistry's not there. It's like there's a wall between them and a wall between the audience and the character as a result. I think Chris Evans is amazing. I love him so much. I will always ride the way y'all ride for Dakota. I will ride for Chris. Like I'm a keyboard warrior to Chris Evans. Like when that fucking Santa movie came out,
oh yes,
and everyone was like, "Why is he doing this? He needs to do Knives Out 4. I was like, you all need to back the fuck up.
Yes.
Like, leave him alone. Maybe he just wants to have fun.
All right.
Is the check?
I
is
still
doing the roll for the
question
check
that
so
movie.
bad? I know it's
No,
so bad.
The check
It's so
roll,
bad.
check roll is fine, but that movie,
Yeah,
I
but
could
he's
forgive
acting.
Ghosted, I could forgive The Gray Man. I could not forgive Red One.
Yeah, that was the last straw. That's
No,
3 strikes, guys.
Guys, no, give him another chance. It's okay. It's okay. He's acting well in the movie. One thing about Chris, he's never phoned it in. Like,
no, never.
He always. I put this on my Letterboxd review. I was like, it's crazy how no matter the role, you can always see him using his diaphragm. That's an actor.
Yeah.
That is an actor. Anyway.
Yeah. You know what though? Just
Tangent
not to wax poetic too much on Chris Evans, but I actually think some of it is just he's misused and miscast because they want him to essentially be the hero of the film, and he's not. Like Evans has a yes, I'm one of the most attractive people in the world, but I'm also kind of have this loser energy. And I'm kind of always just down on my luck. And that genuinely, that's not like an insult to him. That's like a compliment to his character. Like it broadens the type of people that he can play when he's not like the Captain America hero. And I think one of the reasons he does Captain America so well is like Captain America is a loser before he becomes the hero. So every time you see Captain America, he's bringing that I was a tiny, scrawny kid from Brooklyn to this heroic role, and that's what makes him so good in that movie. So then when you remove that and you put him in things like The Gray Man, well, he's pretty fun in The Gray Man, but when you put him in something like Red Notice, where it's just like, yeah, dude, you're not this guy though. Like there's such an inauthenticity to what it is that he's trying to do, and it's just he's much better in stuff like this. When you watch him in something like Materialists, you're like, that's the guy. Like, do this all the time.
Being so unbearably sweet. I will counter, though, by saying before Captain America, those smarmy losers, that's all he was doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like
I
Captain America was...
Captain America, Chris Evans.
I know. Captain America was like him going against type. Because I remember so vividly, everyone was like, what? First of all, Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm.
Right, yeah.
Second of all, like lovable asshole in like every not another teen movie, like all of that was working against him. And then he came out like, no, I'm a noble guy. I have a heart of gold. And everyone was like, oh no, you guys, he has a heart of gold. And now I feel like this is him, like post Captain America is so interesting to me because even if the movie's shit, it's just so interesting to see him like kind of rail against, that expectation for him. I feel like he's doing the opposite of what Pedro's doing right now, which is kind of riding the wave, which is very interesting to me. And I'll just close by saying I think Dakota Johnson's really good in this movie, except for like one or two line notes that I feel like I wanted like a little bit more sincerity. I think she's really good. I've always thought she was good.
I liked Dakota Johnson's line delivery. I think that slow cadence that she has and how she delivers the lines was really it just worked for me with this character and kind of what she's trying to accomplish with communication. I don't know, that stood out to me as like her slow cadence and talking and enunciating and like
her whisper
voice. Yes, I like how she talks in this movie. So that was what really stood out to me as far as her casting. And yeah, I mean, I'm hearing everything you guys are saying about the personas of these actors in real life versus how we have to perceive them in this movie. And there is a really interesting conversation that can be had. I mean, I guess we're having it, but
there's something to be said for saying it.
There's something right about the star power here, because I personally would have liked a more less known cast. I think that's what really works with Past Lives, is not having these preconceived notions of stardom kind of embedded in who's playing these characters. But I also have to say my theater was pretty crowded when I went, and most people I live in Bellingham, and our theater, we're outside of major markets, and so it's hard to get people out to a movie. And I'm I hate to say it, but with a Past Lives cast, I just don't think people would have shown up for this movie. And so I can't remember who said it, but blessing and curse here with the cast, because it was a smart marketing decision, and honestly I think a smart creative decision as well. I think there were on paper I could see this making sense, right? I don't think this was just get the actor who has the biggest name right now. I don't think it was necessarily that. I think there was very much intention on getting talented A-list actors to really deliver this vision, and that effort is definitely there. And I think it's getting people out to the theater, which is awesome for a romance film. I'll be very interested to see what this box office is by the end of the weekend. But yeah,
it's gonna have a high opening weekend and a massive second week drop.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The way that people on TikTok are talking about it, low key, I
the
see that.
cinema score was a B-.
Yeah, and so it makes
the 10 o'clock was sold out last night. All these teen girls walking in. As I was walking to Life of Chuck, I'm like, ooh, none of you are gonna like this movie. Enjoy. Yeah.
As I was watching the movie, I was wondering how a festival run might have altered its the perception of the film. Like this feels like something I would have watched at TIFF. And so I thought it was a very interesting choice from A24 not to send it on the fall festival run and to make it a summer romance film. Which
you know what though, to that point, Thomas, I think I think this is where that curse comes in, because a star-studded cast like this from an already championed festival darling, there's almost like this graduation of like, okay, you made it out of the indie scene, here's your blank check, make whatever movie you want. And I applaud Celine Song for being like, yeah, I'm still concerned about these things though. Like everything that I laid out in Past Lives, those are all things I'm just changing the setting and the characters, but really like these are the things I want to talk about philosophically and thematically. But you have Pedro Pascal, Dakota Johnson, and Chris Evans all starring in your movie. Yeah, we're over that. We're that festival run. I agree, it probably would have done better, but like we're past that. And then A24 was like, it's a rom-com marketing, guys. And
they definitely did that.
Like
pedal to the metal on the rom-com.
They need to make money, and this was their money maker this year. Like,
I guess I really would have loved to have been in the boardroom when they're discussing the marketing of this movie, how to roll this out, because I think there is a very close alternate universe where this did go to TIFF, who would have ate up this cast. Like this red carpet would have been fire. Where it would have gone to TIFF, it would have done the film festival circuit, probably TIFF, NIF, and then gone, at least tried to make a Oscar run. I don't know if this has Oscar potential this time.
No.
But Celine Song is still making a name for herself, and I'm loving how she's doing more ambitious things. Like I was always, after seeing Past Lives, I was like, what is she going to do for her sophomore film? And I think this was a worthy successor, and we'll see where she goes from here. But really quick, let's do one more round, and let's talk about the story and the narrative structure here, because I think Celine is really good at kind of challenging what is typical of like these love triangle kind of stories. Darren, we'll start with you. How did you feel about how this story played out?
Well, I wouldn't even, as much as they were trying to force the love triangle aspect, it's not that type of movie.
You're right. It
is a relationship film like Past Lives. We've got Dakota and Chris, and we've got Dakota and Pedro. So you've got these very two distinct relationships happening. The conversations within their own, talking about, Chris and Dakota is more the, what could have been, what love should be, versus when you've got Dakota and Pedro, it's more what Dakota is, pushing in her job, and this is everything wrong with modern dating, and deconstructing that as you see the severe lack of chemistry. Intentional severe, but severe. But then also at the same time, which is what really made the film for me, is you have Dakota's client, Sophie, and that heartbreaking storyline.
Oh my gosh.
And just,
Yo,
yeah.
so you want to know who my favorite actor in this movie was? Zoe Winters.
Winters,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Yo,
Yeah.
I every time she's on camera, I'm just like, dang, you are. I love Dakota Johnson, but girl, you are running circles around her right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That opening scene where she's like, I just want to find the love of my life. She's like, is that too hard? Like, just losing. You're like, oh my gosh, this woman's like a little unhinged, and I kind of love it. And then you see that date go wrong, which props to John Magaro for that one.
Yeah.
Being Mark P.
Yeah.
Mark P.
I love how they brought in that trashy bachelor thing with the initials. I'm like, this is sending me.
Right.
But
Lyvie, what were your?
That's where like it just enriched what was happening in the other two, because you could kind of see, you know, these are the ideals of romance that we're playing with, but this is real life in this one.
Yeah. Lyvie, what were your thoughts about the narrative structure?
Echoing. So I'm going to echo what Darren said with a caveat. I think all of the stuff set up in the matchmaking world I was so riveted by that. Like, that was probably my favorite part of the film. Her interviews with her clients, them being like, no blacks, no fatties, crazy work.
Yeah.
Also, that scene
dude,
where
the dude where he was like, no, I need to date older women, and then he's like 27.
27.
I was like, I feel like you're not hearing me.
29
Like,
is too much.
30 isn't gonna work. 29 is 30. Like, are you listening to my words? Like, I want a woman who's 27, 6 years older than the women that I typically date. How hard is that? Like,
I don't
oh
think
my God.
my
he's
theater
almost
laughed
50,
hard enough
yeah.
at that. You know, when you're not at a festival, it's hard to kind of gauge how the audience is going to engage, and like, I'm rolling at that scene, and everyone else is like not entirely sure if they can laugh at this. You know,
the tone is weird in the to the extent that like you don't know when to laugh. Like, I remember at my screening, it was like a critic screening, so it wasn't like with normies, which I kind of regret. But
No, you don't.
I
The
do
normie
a
audience was
little.
dead.
Oh dang, that sucks. But when she's trying to talk to the girl who's about to marry Pedro's brother, and she like leans in and she's like, he makes my sister jealous, that's why I'm marrying him.
Yes.
The men behind me like were cackling. I was like, oh, all right. I was like nodding like, I understand. And the men behind me were dying. So it's just like this weird, like, everyone's reacting to it differently, which I find so interesting, because it is that kind of film where you don't know how to feel. Like, even I to this day don't know how to feel. But back to the narrative structure.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I feel like the stuff with Sophie was almost pulling this in a different direction, to the point where I don't like a love triangle. If neither man works, be alone. Be alone. That's what I kind of wanted to see. Like, especially after that huge like decision, like conversation that she has with Sophie at the very end, when they like drive like John Magaro away. And because it's coming off of the heels of this conversation that she has with John, and John is like, I love you, I would do anything for you, I don't know if that's healthy. And she's like, yeah, I don't know why you love me the way that you love me. It's kind of, you know, disarming. And it is, I understand, like, in my head, I know why Celine is doing what she's doing. At every step of the way, I understand it. I understand that this has to happen for her to feel this. She has to have this conversation for her to decide later. I just feel like, I don't know, it kind of resolves itself too neatly at the very end. And I also don't love that Lucy she kind of plays like more of a passive role in her relationship to John. Like, she is the one just agreeing and being like, yeah, sure. Like, he's doing these love confessions, these huge confessions, these 2 monologues back to back, and she's just kind of responding. And I feel like she needed a little bit more autonomy, because everything in the movie, aside from her breakup with Pedro, is this like things just happening to her. And I don't love a passive heroine in a rom-com or romance.
Very interesting notes there. Derrick, what were your? I'm thinking about
Bring
that.
it home, Derrick.
Derrick.
Bring it home.
Well, listen, as a 3.75 bestie, I agree, because I couldn't quite put my finger on what was bothering me so much about some of these things, and how some of these narrative beats, I just feel like they don't connect the dots as cleanly as I think they should. And I think some of Celine Song's ideas get away from her, particularly in the end. Because truthfully, I would actually argue that if you I would change the way that Sophie's experience affects Lucy. Because yes. I think the linear connections are, I don't know, it just bothers me. Like, there's just something about, and listen, I know this isn't what Celine Song was intending, but this idea that, like, it took an assault for you to find your love, where it's just like, that's not a leap or a dot connection that we should be making. But the way the story is told and the way it's constructed, it's almost impossible not to make that leap. I know that's not what she's saying, but that's the effect it kind of has. And it kind of goes to what Lyvie's talking about, where Lucy is just so reactive and she's so passive to the better thing. She's incredibly proactive in the things that she's trying to get rid of and the things that she's trying to change. But Chris Evans just being like, I love you, and suddenly she doesn't make a decision for herself. It's like, well, that's a little too neat. That's not the change that I want. Like, you're leading towards her changing for the better and making decisions for herself. And you're posing this question in her of, what matters more, my love or money? What matters more, the checklist or the thing I can't explain? Like, is it math or anomaly, right? Like, and that's the thing that's rattling around in her brain. And I think she makes her choice way too easily and way too neatly. And I would prefer her to end up with no one, but if she has to end up with Johnny, that's fine. But the way that it happens, I just, that's where things just kind of start to fall apart for me. And it's constantly clashing with just how well these characters are written up until that point. Like, really up until like the last 10, 15 minutes of the movie, all of these people are so authentic. Even when they're at a distance, even somebody like Pedro Pascal, the whole movie, I know that it's super intentional, but when they have that conversation in the kitchen, those walls break down. Like, there is such an intimacy that's happening here. And it's not the kind that you would expect. And that's what I love. Like, they're not having a very loving conversation about a relationship that's going to last into marriage. Like, they're having a very honest conversation about themselves and their own insecurities and the realizations of, like, yeah, this is just a deal. This is just business, what we're doing here. Now let's talk about why. And it's so beautiful. So nobody writes characters the way that Celine Song does. But I think the film that she put them in this time, especially when she has more money and she has kind of this blank check to just run wild with all of her ideas, I think some of them get away from her in the end.
Yeah, I'm seeing everything that you guys are saying here. And it's making me think a little bit more about like how I might take in this movie the second time. But I totally agree. I would have loved something like the taxi scene in Past Lives, some way to like really like put a fine point on what you're trying to say here, because ultimately in this question that Derrick was mentioning, then this question of, do you go with love or money, I don't think this movie entirely answers that, because I'm still thinking in the movie by the end, I don't know, the money still sounds really good. Like, Iceland still sounds really good.
Yeah, he's like, I'll take more commercial work, baby.
Right, baby.
That's not going to solve this problem. That's not going to solve this
He was going to
problem.
work at a diner. Come on.
Yeah, bro, like, come on. You stepped on a used condom from your roommate like 20 minutes into this movie. We got some work to do.
Work, right?
Yeah.
So like, I don't think this movie actually answers its thesis, in my opinion. I think it answers it for the character, and like you're saying, I don't think it does it in the most compelling way. But I left the movie still thinking, money is still really nice, and as beautiful and like authentic as that conversation was in the kitchen, I don't know, I might have gone to Iceland. But
It's just they had to invent the surgery. I mean, the surgery exists in real life, but they had to do that for her to be like, I can't.
Right. And like, and it's funny because it wasn't even, she doesn't proclaim that to be the deal breaker. It's there to kind of trigger a different reason. So yeah, I think I think ultimately what I was really processing with this film is that I love it because I know what Celine, or I have an idea of what Celine is trying to do here, and I have her sensibilities kind of in mind when I'm watching this movie, and so I can fill in the gaps and kind of reconcile things that maybe the rest of the audience couldn't. I mean, as I was walking out, just kind of hearing the chatter, there was really kind of tepid reactions to the film, just because it's trying to balance being appealing to the mainstream while also kind of having a more artistic and nuanced story that's not as mainstream typical. So yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested in talking more with people outside of the cinephile world and getting their reactions to this film. And that's why I was thinking a lot about maybe this should have done a festival run, because I think the festival audiences would have been a little bit more forgiving than the mainstream audiences are going to be. As Darren said, with the second week box office is probably not going to, because I don't think people walked out like that was a terrible movie. I think they walked out like that was different,
Yeah.
I also wonder too if she's not, because so much of this movie is about having really honest conversations about relationships and love and how we have human connection, and it's all I could watch these people talk to each other all day long. Like that's one of my favorite parts of what Celine Song does, where you can literally just watch these characters be, and we don't really need to do anything with them. You can just watch them exist. It's one of the most alluring parts of Past Lives. I remember when people came out of the festival and they were trying to like explain past lives to people, and they were like, no, it sounds super boring just watching people walk around. But I promise you, it's like the most, I get it. Nobody wants to watch people just sit and stare at each other on a ferry, but it's beautiful. You have to do it. And so it just has this indescribable way of just having these human connections. And so for me, I feel like if you get to the end and you're not going to subvert it, then give us the true romance, but like have them reconnect in the middle of a New York street, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
that would have been cool, because she does talk about how
right?
she argues. She'll still argue in the middle of a street.
Yeah,
that would have been really great.
If you're gonna do it, if you're gonna make the easy proposal and have the big love romance speech, then really what should happen in that case, if you're gonna go full Hollywood, which she does. So if you're gonna do it, then it should be Dakota getting Johnny back, not Johnny getting Dakota back. You know what I mean? So like they leave after this whole thing, and he does this whole confession, and she doesn't give an answer to the deal, and then everything resolves with Sophie. She's back, and whatever. And then Dakota finds him in the middle of the street, stops his taxi, and then you have this beautiful moment where they reconnect. Like that's the happy love romance ending that honestly would have been more emotional and would have fit perfectly with these characters. And it would have removed that delineation of I am changing my life because somebody got abused, right? Like you can't.
What about the caveman?
Oh, the caveman.
That would get rid of the caveman.
No, because then she could propose with the flower. Because she could propose with the flower.
Okay.
Yes, and then you give her.
It's all about making
back.
her the one who. Yeah. Exactly.
Guys, all I'm saying is that Celine should just end all of her movies with a taxi. That's it.
Yes.
A taxi scene. I want the director's cut where she ends it like she should, with a discussion near a taxi.
Everybody's got something, right? John Woo has doves. Tarantino has feet. Celine Song can have taxis.
Taxis, yes.
Not just taxis, New York taxis.
New York taxis.
New York taxis specifically. All right, guys, we're going to bring this materialist conversation to a close because I do want to get around to ranking romance films. But I'm curious, now that we've had this conversation, if your thoughts and ratings have changed at all. Lyvie, what are your thoughts? Are you still at your rating, or has that shifted a bit?
I feel like I need to shift it just from the conversation that we've had about Chris. and the films that he chooses. So my top 3 is Rye Lane, What's Your Number, and Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice ain't moving. She's not moving. Her crown is firmly atop her head. That's the ultimate movie. But I think What's Your Number is more of like a personal bias favorite of mine. I think it's so funny. I think Anna Faris is hilarious in it. And I think Chris Evans is great because he is kind of playing like this blend between Johnny Storm and someone nicer. Not technically Captain America, but just someone nice. And you're like, ooh, he's a charming rogue. And he roams around his apartment naked, and they're next door neighbors, and forced proximity. It's all these tropes. It's checking all these boxes. But I do know that Rye Lane, I know in my head, Rye Lane needs to be number 2. So that's the new ranking.
You know what? That's actually really interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on Lyvie's top 3? So Lyvie, you said you switched your top 3 to put what's the order again?
What's Your Number 3?
Okay.
Rye Lane 2, and then Pride and Prejudice number 1.
Guys, what do you think about that top 3?
You can be honest. I'll accept my lashings. Have you seen What's Your Number, though?
I've seen it multiple times. It's a fun movie. I enjoy it. It would never be this high for you, but like, I respect going for that first watch. You know what? I love that movie. It's going there. Like, go for it.
I'm not a big Pride and Prejudice fan in any iteration.
Oh.
Yeah,
Someone just got unfriended.
I'm sorry.
No, we can agree to disagree. I'll hear you out. What
I know we were rating buddies. And
we were.
To Thomas's original question, like I don't think my rating has changed after this discussion. I do feel like I think it kind of I think that 3.75 to 4 is like it's just like this perfect blend of where this, because it's better than average, right? Like there's no way you can watch this movie and spend time with these characters and think like, yeah, this is an average romance. It's not an average romance. There are things in this that are so far beyond what normal romance does. But then there are also things that we talked about that they just hold it back from this greatness of past lives for me. So I think my rating kind of stays the same. Do you want me to do my rankings?
I do. I do want you to do your
slandered Pride and Prejudice. I'm so sorry.
I do want you to give your top 3. What are your top 3 romance films of this century?
All right. So Thomas forced me to do this century, and I feel like that's really rude.
And fortunately, your favorits did land in this century.
I know, like right on the cusp, though.
Because I was denied that.
So I'll rattle them off, and then I can be swayed to kind of switch, kind of like Lyvie, right? You can switch number 2 and 3 all day long, but number 1 is unassailable to me. So we're gonna go Past Lives, and then Love and Basketball. That is just I love that movie, and you're crazy if it's not on any list. Like, it doesn't have to be in your top 3, but like if you start getting into like your top 10, top 15, top 20, and that movie's not on there, like you don't actually love love. Get out of here.
Unfortunately, Derrick, I think that means we might not be friends.
Oh no!
I think Love and Basketball.
She had to get back at you for Pride and Prejudice.
I know.
I can't be silent. It's not a petty thing. I just can't be quiet about this movie. I think the male love interest is the most deranged man ever, and the fact that she has to beg. She has to beg. Not only beg, but play a game of basketball with me so that we can be together. And he goes out of his way to try to win. Like, he's really trying. I'm like, he doesn't love you. He doesn't want you. He actually might hate you.
He only loves himself. Yeah.
It's actually a nightmare. Like, watching the movie is such a nightmare. Like, men are so gross. He's like the worst man.
I am absolutely I'm going back to watch Love and Basketball from this perspective.
Yeah. Listen. I clearly adore Love and Basketball. It is genuinely one of my favorites. But in true bestie spirits, Lyvie is not wrong. It's like, I still love this movie with my whole chest, but like, she's not wrong. Okay? Like,
It's just like love prevails.
he is a horrible human being, like through and through, no question whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, and then my number one is In the Mood for Love. I think that one, honestly, I think that one has the most conversation with a lot of what Celine Song does. There's no way you can watch something like Past Lives and Materialists and not see that Celine Song watched In the Mood for Love and it just changed her forever. She was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make this movie my whole personality," and then went on to like be an Oscar-nominated screenwriter and filmmaker. But just the bones of that, right? Like just this idea of longing and reality and relationships and proximity and like everything about love and how to fall in love, but without like just having conversations about it, which is just what is so beautiful about what Celine Song does. But it's also just In the Mood for Love is just so achingly gorgeous. Like that movie is just beautiful. The Reds, Jesus. Okay. Anyways. That's my number one.
Good ranking there. Darren, has your feelings on The Materialists changed? And then what's your top 3 romance films of the century?
Possibly, like I can see what everyone was saying, but I'm not gonna lie. When Chris Evans was doing his monologues, I was sobbing, and I was like, "No, this movie just took me too far." I'm like, "Nope." Yeah. So we'll find out. I'm watching it again tomorrow with another normal crowd. We'll see if someone gasps when she finds the ring in Pedro's bag, and everyone laughs and says that was their favorite part of the movie. Walking out, and I was like, "People, I'm gonna murder someone."
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're keeping your rating the same for now. We'll check in with you after you see it a second time.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your top 3?
Top 3. So coming in at number 3, we've got Love Actually. It's my favorite rom-com. I love the different types of love that it explores, and not just like happy loves. You get freaking Alan Rickman being the villain again and cheating on Emma Thompson in that beautiful use of Joni Mitchell. That's devastating, as well as your fun, Richard Curtis rom-com moments. Number 2, I do love a tragic romance. So Thomas said this century, I went, fine, I can still make this one work. We are going, and from a directorial point of view, I prefer this version better, but we're going to 2021 West Side Story. Steven Spielberg just doing his thing. I love that musical. I love musicals. I love everything about that movie. And dear God, Rachel Zegler and Ariana DeBose just killing it with those performances. And then number 1,
also that introduced Mike Feist to the world, and we should all be so grateful.
We are blessed
for such a gift
introduced in that film. And the end of Ansel Elgort.
Yes. Yeah. So 2 positives. This is good.
2 positives. Yeah, 2 positives. Yeah. And then number 1, we've got every cinephile's favorite musical, as they call it, La La Land. Just that beautiful 2 souls that meet. It's not destined to last. We know that pretty early on, but just the beauty of having that moment and then add in the music, the cinematography, and just the grandeur of that film on such a small scale. Like, I'm still mad it lost that Oscar. I will never be over that.
Oh,
you know what?
Yeah. Nope.
Oh.
I'm gonna let you guys know you are 0 for 2 on your number 1s, because
I
do not care for La La Land.
Wow.
I was trying to be so polite. But Darren.
Oh no, what's happening right now?
It did not deserve an Oscar.
No.
I absolutely, Darren, I support you. Okay, I absolutely support you.
We're like totally divided.
Darren froze. I think Darren left the chat. Darren froze. I think he left the chat. I think you guys are
We were both too hard.
I have triggered plenty of La La Land fans in my time. I know what happens. I know things break down. I get it. Things get a little weird when I enter them, but yeah, what's crazy, here's the thing, real quick, it should be for me. everything about this movie is made for me. It is a jazz musical starring Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. Are you kidding me? Yes, I am signed up, and I just it does nothing for me. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll agree with
I think La La Land was the point where I realized Ryan Gosling is like his best at acting when he's not saying anything. And that look that they give each other, I think it's after the montage of what could have been, that look that they give each other, like that right there gives the Oscar to that movie for me, right? Like that was a monumental moment. Look, the judgment.
You just haven't seen Moonlight in a long time. That's all that's happening.
Moonlight is great. Moonlight is great.
I'm sensing a butt. I'm sensing.
I'm not. No. Ma'am, I am trying desperately to hold on to my black card. Okay, so there will not be a butt. Okay, on Moonlight. Moonlight is great.
You choosing the movie where the black man is the villain and the white guy is like, but jazz is sacred to the black man over Moonlight.
I have removed his card every single episode we have done.
Yes,
it has been at one of them. One of the cards that he holds every episode we've done. I have just removed a card.
I just think it's interesting. It's
interesting. Interesting. Okay.
We just have a whole movie called Sinners about this very thing, bro. About this very thing.
I am going to digress before I get into any more trouble with my panel. But I will say for Materialists, my rating is going to stay the same for now. But I do think I have very interesting perspectives to take into my second watch, and I wouldn't be surprised if I dropped it down to a 4. Just kind of taking in your guys' perspectives and observations and thoughts about the film. But I'm still very positive. I think Celine Song is still, 2 for 2 in her feature films, and I cannot wait to see what she does next. So yeah, I will report back after my second viewing whenever I get around to that. My top 3 romance films, and yeah, this guys, I know we all had a challenge narrowing this down. It was so tough. But my number 3, I'm going to go with Crazy Stupid Love, because not often do we get romantic comedies with a twist, like literally a wicked twist in that movie. Just very, very clever storytelling there. Loved it.
Shares a lot of bones with Materialists in the way that they were marketed, because Crazy Stupid Love was marketed as a straight up rom-com, and then everybody went and saw it and they were like, this isn't as funny as I thought it would be.
Right, that's true. No, but it's still, it's and that we can have a whole nother conversation about movie marketing, which I think we're going to at some point on All My Friends and Movie Fans. So yeah, Crazy Stupid Love that one. Number 2, y'all, we are gonna dip back into Dakota Johnson's filmography, and yes, I am going to name Cha Cha Real Smooth on my top 3. That movie like changed my life for how I think about romantic films and the nuance that you can put. I mean, Cooper Raiff is just, when you want to talk about someone else who is incredible at writing characters and dialogue in his movies, Cooper Raiff is just another one that just nails it every time. So yeah, Cha Cha Real Smooth had to be on my list. I could watch that movie anytime, any day, anywhere, and just be charmed by it every single time. And then my number 1, and I don't know if this director is ever gonna make something this good again, but it's John Carney's Sing Street.
Yeah.
Which just all the feels every time I watch that movie. I love the musical aspect of it. Like, the music is really fun. I think that the themes are super relatable and just like really compelling. And then the finale, it just makes me want to get on a boat and just like go on an adventure. Yeah. and just it's so rapturous in that way. And I mean, Flora and Son as is the fall is like, it was his 4th film, I think. But yeah, I went into Flora and Son with Sing Street expectations. That is not a good idea.
No.
Okay.
And I loved Flora and Sons, but it is no Sing Street. It's not even a Begin Again. Like
No,
it's not even.
Yeah, John Carney.
It's good, but it's not like John Carney, peak.
Yeah, he has some like his career, his films have just gotten better and better. I think Flora and Son, I'm going to chalk that up to pandemic. I'm going to say that was a pandemic problem, and I hope he's working on something better to like get back to the Begin Again. I also like Once, Begin Again, and Sing Street. But man, I just don't know if a romance film is ever going to beat Sing Street in my book. So that's where I'm at. Any thoughts on those three before we wrap up?
I didn't even know Sing Street was a romance. Like this
I
is. Like
think that is coming of age.
Coming of age.
Smooth.
It's such a blind spot for me.
There's definitely romance a part
There's
of it.
romance in it, but I was
trying to get the girl,
putting in
running
a
off with the girl.
Yeah.
Darren's like,
Like I adore that movie. I adore it, but like I was like romance. That's a.
You know what's interesting? I had a hard time considering Past Lives a romance.
I don't
because
think Past Lives is a romance. It's a drama.
It's a drama.
That happens to be about love.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing
yeah.
I would say romantic about it, but the discussion is romance.
Yeah. And I mean that's romance covers so many different subgenres. Like I'll allow Past Lives to be on whatever list. We want to put Past Lives on. So like we made that happen, and thank you, Derrick, for giving me the opportunity to think again about Past Lives.
I think one of the things when I was doing this exercise, one of the things I was trying to eliminate, because I would love to put things like The Princess Bride and Hitman and and these are all great movies, and yes, they are love stories. But like Princess Bride is an action adventure that happens to be about love, right? Like Hitman is more of a comedy about identity and the philosophy of discovering yourself. It just happens to have one of the sexiest love stories in the middle of it, right? Yeah. But like I was trying to find movies that felt like this movie is about love at its core, and everything that surrounds it focuses on that. So when I think of yes, La La Land, even though like it's not a movie I care for, La La Land is it's about jazz, but jazz is just an excuse for these people to talk about love. You know what I mean? Like it's everything about that movie is about falling in love or falling out of love or being in love with something. And so that's my list was kind of like built on that, because there's plenty of other movies I could have included, and I was like, well, no, they're not really about that. So.
I get that definition is Past Lives. Like it's all revolving around, love, but it's not like there's that what you expect from a romance in there, but it is all about love. Yeah.
Tread carefully on Past Lives, because I will launch us into a whole nother podcast right now about Past Lives. Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and bring it to a close, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's go ahead and do some plugs. Derrick, what can is there anything that you would like to plug before we take off?
Everybody check out my reviews. I'll have a written piece about Materialists out this weekend, so you can check out all my reviews on nerdbot.com. You can follow me at DROK Comedy. That's DROK Comedy at pretty much anything except TikTok, because I'm 40. I don't do that. But yes.
Very cool. Darren, what would you like to plug before we take off?
I have a week of busy reviews coming. I think I've got like 6 coming this week, so stay tuned. I'm gonna not be sleeping as per usual.
Godspeed.
Lyvie, what would you like to plug?
I just started a newsletter.
Nice.
And my first post is a Materialist review. If you are interested in reading it, it's at lovergirl, lovergirl.substack.com. And I'm Lyvie Scott on everything, including TikTok, even though I shouldn't be on there because it's melting my brain.
Awesome. Materialist was just another check on my like New York exposure list this week, because I've been covering Tribeca, and so that's going on right now, and so I have a bunch of interviews that I'm publishing and that I have published from filmmakers that have projects at Tribeca. So those will continue rolling out over the next couple of weeks. I still have Seattle Film Festival interviews to get published as well. I'm like waist deep in video editing for interviews. So there's a lot of content coming out there. And yeah, I think that's really what I've been working on. I'm looking forward to getting through that because TIFF is coming up, and I need to I need to clear my brain for a month before trying to dive into TIFF. So
yeah, we're all burnt out, right? Like that's it.
Oh yeah.
We're all exhausted. Got it. Okay, good.
Yep, that's for sure.
This is like it's so not to talk about it too long, but it's so difficult because like our rest period is like the summer blockbuster. So like the only break in the festival season is during the summer blockbuster season, and then it's go until I don't know March. Like it's
exactly. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for joining me. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to listen. This has been an episode of All My Friends Are Movie Fans, a ForReel original series. If you're a movie fan, be one of our friends too. Connect with us on all the links in the description and tune in again next time.